Have you ever stopped to think about what connects, say, a jellyfish to a human or a spider to a whale? It seems impossible, right? Well, today we're going to unravel the entire animal kingdom. We're going to look at the evolutionary blueprint that connects every single creature, from the simplest sponge all the way to us, and see how a few key upgrades completely change the course of life on Earth. So let's just jump right in with a little puzzle. What could a floating jellyfish, let's be honest, a pretty gross parasitic tapeworm, and a super clever octopus possibly have in common? I mean, they couldn't be more different. But believe it or not, the answer to this one question is the key to classifying all animal life. The answer lies in the single biggest split in the entire animal kingdom. It is a fundamental difference, a line drawn in the evolutionary sand that separates all animals into two massive, totally distinct groups. This is what we call the Great Animal Divide. And here it is. It all comes down to a little thing called a notochord. Think of it as a flexible rod that gives the body its main support. So on one side, you have the non-chordates, all the animals that don't have this structure. And on the other, the chordates, which do. So our jellyfish, our tapeworm, and our octopus? Yep, they're all non-chordates. They're united by what they're missing. Okay, so let's start our tour with this absolutely gigantic group, the non-chordates. We're going to climb up the evolutionary ladder here, starting with the simplest forms of animal life you can imagine, and see how things get more and more complex with each new group, or phylum. And our tour starts at the very, very bottom of the animal family tree, with phylum Porifera. You know them as sponges. Honestly, you can think of them as living water filters. Their whole life is just pulling water through all those pores to catch tiny bits of food. They're so basic, they're really just a collection of cells working together, but without any real tissues or organs to speak of. Okay, here it is, the first major level up in animal evolution, the invention of tissues. With the coelentrates, like jellyfish, cells aren't just roommates anymore. They're organized into actual teams. And this allows for amazing new things, like coordinated movement, and of course, their famous stinging cells that they use for hunting and defense. This is a massive leap forward. So what's the next big idea? A whole new body plan. It's called bilateral symmetry. And for the very first time, this gives animals a distinct head and a tail, a front and a back. It might sound simple, but this change is a total game changer, because now you can have purposeful, directed movement. This new body plan leads us straight to the worms, and here you can really see evolution tinkering with the design. First up, you've got the flatworms. They're flattened top to bottom and are basically solid all the way through, no space inside for organs. But then come the roundworms, and they develop a sort of placeholder cavity. It's not a true body cavity just yet, but it's a super important stepping stone to a more complex internal design. And now for two absolute game changers brought to us by the annelids, like your friendly neighborhood earthworm. First, they developed a true internal body cavity called a coelom. This is huge because it gives organs a protected space to develop. And second, they came up with segmentation. It's like building a body out of repeating Lego bricks. This lets them specialize different sections for different jobs, which makes for way more efficient movement. Okay, so from segmented worms, evolution just goes wild. This next step leads to the single most successful group of animals on the entire planet. I'm not exaggerating. We are talking about a phylum with over 1 million known species, and they have dominated every single habitat you can possibly imagine. Meet the arthropods. This is the blockbuster group that includes all the insects, spiders, and crustaceans. So what's their secret? A revolutionary design, a tough, lightweight external skeleton made of a material called chitin. It's literally a custom-fitted suit of armor that gives them protection and anchor points for muscles, while their jointed legs give them incredible speed and agility. But, a hard exoskeleton wasn't the only path to success. Another major group took a totally different route. They stuck with soft bodies and, in a lot of cases, got really good at creating their own protective shells. And this is the phylum Mollusca. We're talking about everything from garden snails to giant squids. They're all defined by their soft bodies. And their key feature is a muscular foot, which they have cleverly adapted for everything from slowly crawling along the seafloor to full-on jet propulsion. All right, our final stop on the non-chordate tour brings us to the phylum Echinodermata, the starfish and their spiny-skinned cousins. These ocean dwellers have what I can only describe as a biological superpower, a unique water vascular system. They basically use hydraulic pressure to power thousands of tiny little tube feet. It's how they move, grip things, and eat. It's pretty incredible.
So we've seen this mind-boggling diversity of life without backbones. But now it's time to cross that great evolutionary divide and check out the lineage that eventually, after a very long time, led to us, the chordates.
Okay, so let's get this straight. The notochord is the key. It's not exactly a backbone, but it's the blueprint. It's a flexible rod that provides the main support for the body. In animals like us, the vertebrates, this notochord develops into the bony vertebral column that we call our backbone. But the notochord isn't the whole story. To be a chordate, you have to have, at some point in your life, 4 key traits. You need the notochord for support, a dorsal nerve cord, which becomes the brain and spinal cord, gill slits near your throat, and a tail that goes past the anus. And yes, that absolutely includes you. When you were just a tiny embryo, you had both gill slits and the tail. Now, if the story of the non-chordates was all about building more complex bodies, the story of the chordates is all about conquering new environments. It is an incredible saga of adaptation, a journey that starts in the water, moves onto the land, and finally takes to the air. And you can literally watch this journey unfold in steps. Step 1, it all starts in the water with the fishes. Step 2, amphibians make the first dairy move onto land, but they're still tied to the water to have their babies. Step 3, the reptiles finally master the land thanks to their waterproof scaly skin. And then from those reptiles, 2 groups, birds and mammals, evolved brand new strategies to dominate pretty much every environment on the planet. And a huge split in that journey was about how to manage energy. Fish, amphibians, and reptiles are what we call cold-blooded. Their body temperature just matches whatever their surroundings are. But birds and mammals developed a massive advantage. They became warm-blooded. They could create their own heat and maintain a constant internal temperature, which lets them be active in pretty much any climate, day or night. And that brings us to those last 2 classes, the champions. You have aves, the birds, who took this breathtaking leap by turning their front limbs into wings, totally unlocking the skies. And then you have mammalia. That's us, who perfected 2 winning traits, hair for insulation and mammary glands to produce milk, which gives our young a huge head start in life.
So, wow, we have gone on quite a journey, right? From simple sponges all the way to birds and mammals. I know it's a lot to take in, so let's just pull it all together and look at the entire tree of animal life in one simple, clear picture.
And here it is. This is the cheat sheet for the whole animal kingdom. Every animal on Earth fits into one of 2 camps. The non-chordates, defined by what they lack, a notochord, branched out into this incredible variety of body plans. And the chordates, defined by having a notochord, went on this epic journey of conquering every environment. That one single distinction is the foundation for understanding all animal life. We've traced the story of constant innovation, from the very first tissues to the evolution of flight. It's just an unbelievable progression of biological upgrades, which kind of leaves you with one last big thought. What's next? What's the next great evolutionary upgrade for life on this planet? I'd love to know what you think. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride.